Greetings everyone. Today I would like to continue my random talk about the random stuff, and today's it's not going to be some random talk. Today I would like to talk about this new movie Marco Polo. I just watched episode number 1. It means I haven't watched the rest 9 episodes. So let me talk about this first episode. Speaking of my these videos, this one of my sister's friend Zaya helped me to make this video about the this Mongolian language, about the face, like eyes, nose, ears, etc., etc. It was quite hard for me to find a hostess, someone who is agreed to act this behind the camera. It seems acting behind the camera is like quite hard for some people, or people are usually shy about this stuff. So the reason why I make this simple video is that it's one of my quests to be first in YouTube. I'm like, is there any Mongolian who explain it how to say I love you in Mongolian? So if there is none, I'll be the first, something like that. So it seems there is no Mongolian who explained it, some body parts and Mongolian language, etc., etc. So she became the first person to point and say it in Mongolian language. Like this, I guess I will continue my quest to be the first in many things. So back to Marco Polo, episode number 1. Of course, I must promote, or how to say, put like on things that documentaries or these movies about the Mongols, because I'm a Mongolian, and I would like to give it few stars, but I will give it from 5 I would give 4 stars. So there will be like 20% blah 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 about this movie, things I don't like, and etc., etc. So let me this how to you ask for it. Spoilers. What is this movie about? So it's about Marco Polo, who is trying to convince his father to go to this Yuan Empire, but he fails and he sails, and his father finds that he is in his ship, and they went to cross some desert. So they are traveling with some monks, and these monks somehow could not cross this desert, and they returns back. So when they reached the Yuan Mongol Empire's border, you are looking at this Chinese village, and people are slaughtered, and somehow this they had some Muslim bodyguards. The bodyguards, this killed by some Mongolian, this horsemen. This is a little bit shocking. They are immediately taken to a court. This meets the Hublai Khaan, and this Marco Polo meets some Taoist blind priest who teaches him this Chinese martial arts, and Hublai Khan's son goes to this this Chinese village. This tries to conquer this village, but he fails, and in the end, you are seeing some orgy with the naked Kublai Khan. So this was the what is this happens in the first episode. One can say that it's quite, how to say, many things are happening, but this is personally this is not a good way to start a story. I would like you to compare this movie Marco Polo with the other movie called Shogun, 1980s. Wow, this movie was created this like before I was born, and this movie is like so, how to say, so great. So at that time there was a great this sense of this how to say this quality movie and stuff, I think. So obviously this this Marco Polo should be different from the Shogun, where there you have a lot of this rules. You must like bend, etc., etc. So I think the Marco Polo should be like a mad story. So mad story is like boiling hot water. Make sure you make some people angry, maybe Mongolians, maybe this Chinese, maybe Muslims. You make some people, make sure you make them a little bit angry. What I'm trying to say. So when Marco Polo is traveling to Asia, he should cross this some I guess Muslim states, and should cross some these ruins of a Muslim these cities, where he these monks should see this pile of human bones, etc., etc., so that they these monks are very scared about this these horrible places full of dead bodies, and it should this reach some this Mongol military camp, and will meet some this or a group of this crazy this Mongol. So the first this event I imagine should be meeting first Mongolian. So first impression, who is a Mongol, something like that. It's this we want the audience to be like how to say interested in this stuff, so that first Mongolian should be mad one. This should be some old dude, fairly old dude, very dirty, and should have very bad breath, and he should be smelling like death, and he has this this rusted this old armor, where you have this old blood stain, and this dude is like this threatening them with this with this swords, and like asking UN, what do you got, something like that. So the first Mongolian they should meet is the lowest ranking this commander, the commander of 10th, something like that, and happens to be like this mad guy, this who this screams at night, this this speaks to himself on a this campfire, and like this this is the like this, this, this. I guess you can find some creepy Asian guy you could immediately start hating. So this dude also should have this some in this amulet, or this maybe some chest mirror with the image of this Satan. This they should meet a real Satan obsessed like dude who is happened to be a Mongol commander. Yeah, I think like this. So this dude will freak out all these monks, and this. It seems that this dude is like leading them towards the hell. So in journey, they should this, how to say, witness this horrible stuff, etc., etc. Maybe or when this, maybe this monks see that he has this this hornet man necklace, this they should this say we must return, something like that. So obviously the Marco Polo's father knows about the this Yuan Empire, etc., etc. He traveled, so he is trying to this calm everyone down that this is just an this uncivilized dude. It's this, there's a great this very civilized this world awaits us. We must go further, something like that. But they are not listening, and some should be like going home. So in my opinion, they could not this go further, or they are so tired, and so that they are returning back is not interesting. For me, this is boring. So it should be because of some this Satan-like dude that these monks decide not to go to this Kublai Khan's court, something like that. So in order to make it this further this disgusting, or this mad, I think you should add more shit into this mad story. Yeah, more shit. To make it more strong. Maybe this, they will visit a city controlled by the Mongols, and already there is this Mongolian this this Mongolian these people are walking in the street. Obviously, it's going to be somewhere in Iran, or in the Middle East, and of course there will be a woman with the burqa. So there is a bunch of women with the burqa, and Muslims are just walking in the street, and you will notice that there is some woman with the red burqa, this covering their this face, and they have very tall this hat and the red, and they are guarded by some this bodyguards with the mace. And there's these little boys, these clean little boys with these feather hats, are carrying their these bags, and everywhere is like warriors, this Mongolian warriors with the this light armor and the feathers on their hats is walking by, and this this mad this commander is leading them towards this the ruler of this city. So there can be some this scene of this blood or execution, where you have this some Muslim brothers, this old, this young and very young, are this this is in execution. They are tied, and they when this the all this elder one is cut down. He screams, this Allahu Akbar, maybe something like that. And so these boys are going to be excused of killing, this one Mongolian guard or something like that. So their crime is a little bit, this small, yet the punishment is very cruel, something like that. So that this maybe like this the executioner is don't want to kill the very young one. This the very young one is like child, and they are talking. This is child. It's not this. Maybe we can use it. We will not kill it. Something like that. So there is this argument like order is order, something like that. But this this our mad commander should be like this. Hey, let me do it, and he this jumps from his horse and this cuts down this child's head. So the Mr. Marco will hate that commander very much, and he wishes for his this death or something like that. So make it more this, how to say, more shitty. If you have this balls, maybe this scene where you cut down cutting the head of a Muslim rebel is maybe too this too much for some Muslims, but the show should have some truth or historical truth. This milk is going to be this historical truth that this this Marco Polo cannot speak Mongolian. Kublai Khan cannot speak this Italian. So make sure there is always someone there, someone who is this translating, or maybe there is some this someone speaking as narrator, so that Marco Polo this went to this journey and blah blah blah, something like that. So at this this of course you met the first this Mongols, and very brutal, this front line dudes, some this Turks, this they are constantly this preparing for war, and this something like that. And you will this then you will see some little bit civilized these dudes, a local lord and his this court, and there can be this now we can talk about little bit about the sweet stuff. I mean, should add some sexy sugar, so it's mad, shitty, and should become sexy, something like that. So of course this Marco Polo is dirty, he is traveling, and in order to this lord to receive him, they should have a bath. Same time they should have this examination, because there is a plague everywhere. So there can be this some this Arab medicine man is just asking them to take their clothing and inspecting if they have some skin deformation, or this if any signs of this plague, etc., etc. So there's a little this boys, this bag carrier boys. I will put the their image in the description below, looking this, how to say, this maybe holding a light or candle, helping this medicine man to check the Marco Polo, and obviously this medicine man will even check his penis, like this like this, and okay, everything is fine, like pass, something like that. So I don't want to see this naked fat Kublai Khan's orgy in the first episode. I prefer to see this Marco Polo naked. So that's this first episode. The main character should be sweet and naked. So also Marco Polo should notice that not every woman is covering, this wearing this Mongolian, this burqa, and he should notice that this among this, this bag carrying or servant little boys, this some of them are girls. So he should, this find this servant, this boy dressed girl, and will be should be amazed, etc., etc. And I feel that they should meet some Christians, maybe Nestorian Christians, that are this this obviously this Mongolian tribe Naimans were Christians. So there can be some Mongolians who are carrying these Nestorian crosses. It's basically a cross with a swastika, something like that. So it should have this madness or things that this maybe a little bit this forbidden in mainstream media. I guess there's a lot of this censorship because of this, how to say, Western world dislikes swastika, something like that. So so the first episode will be all about this Marco Polo is traveling and trying to learn Mongolian and this other stuff. And there can be even this simple stuff like this why you have this hairstyle, this why you have this you leave some hair on your forehead, how you call it, something like that. So speaking of this this real Marco Polo, this episode, this, I think I'll add more sugar. I mean, there should be some humor. I mean, when this Marco Polo is being examined by this little this medicine man and little these servant boys, obviously these servant boys happens to be, some of them happens to be girl, not the boy. So it should be a little bit should be shocking for Mr. Polo, I think. That should make it more this interesting. So speaking of this this first episode, this Khaan reminded how powerful he is. This is wrong because the strong one never this this reminds his power, this obey me, I am powerful. This is a sign of a weak person. So one of their ministers or one of the translators may this say that Khaan is very powerful, so you need to be most humble and speak when he asks you to speak and something like that. Also, there can be like humor. This I noticed that this when they entered the Kublai Khan's court, they were this crawling. So Kublai Khan may ask this, why these men are this crawling like an animals. So they are like this this guard or this general told us that we should crawl in front of you, something like that. And of course it was this joke, they joked on them. So in my opinion, you do not crawl like this. This is not so Mongolian. This is more like China. This is more like, you know, this is overkill. Even in, I think in Japan, you do not like crawl. You just walk in and you have to like bow. Basically, that's all. So you are, you know, this representative of Pope. You are like a special, you know, this, how to say, envoy. You must not be like crawling like that. So I found that little bit, you know, this wrong and disturbing. And also, you know, this there should be a lot of, you know, this how to say, Turk warriors, you know, this Uyghur warriors, and, you know, this all these Muslims trying to, you know, this how to say, maintain the order of empire, you know, this looking after this Chinese, etc., etc. And I noticed that, you know, this, it seems everywhere is like, you know, some Mongolian, etc., etc. And this killing of these Muslim warriors, like shooting them, was a little bit, you know, this overkill, because you know, this, everyone who is traveling on, you know, this, you know, this in Mongol territory is already an ally. So why you kill, you know, these bodyguards? I don't understand. They should be greeted, you know, this, who are you, what kind of people you are, and we are like this, something like that. Well, this is what I think about this movie Marco Polo. If I was a director, I guess I would make, you know, this such a movie, you know, this start. You meet the first Mongol, and then you meet, you know, this a town managed by the Mongols, and I guess meeting the khaan in the first episode is too much, and I don't like this. Some Taoist priest is teaching Marco Polo how to survive in a Mongol empire. Well, that's pretty much for today, and thanks for watching.